welcome to today's session. We are discussing communicating with impact, and today our focus is on emails. When it comes to communicating for business purposes, we have two main types of communications. We have written communication and non-written communication. Non-written communication include things like presentations, public speeches, conversations, business conversations, managing meetings, participating in meetings, holding coaching and performance conversations, facilitating workshops, etc. Written communications include things like minutes of meetings, writing reports, proposals, notices, adverts, official letters, even WhatsApp messages, and also emails. And today, we're focusing mainly on emails. Our objective for this learning session is to acquire the knowledge and skills that will help us communicate better via email in a way that inspires trust, commitment, and actually get people to take action. To start, I invite you to examine this email and give us your comments. For those watching the video, you can pause the video and actually review the email. Those who have the workbooks from online, the email is on your workbook as well. You can use it. We'll take a pause at this point, and then we'll come back later to review the email together. Welcome back. We have your various views on the emails. And the interesting thing is that when we say comment on the email, we find that most of us were actually picking up what wasn't so great about the email. I'm using this opportunity to bring our minds to how to give feedback, and that is to say, regardless of how terrible a situation is, there is something good. So I invite you to relook at the email at your next opportunity to see what was good about the email. Now to the many things about the email that didn't feel too good. I believe that our subsequent discussions is going to help us to be able to restructure this same email in a way that actually inspires trust, commitment, and action. So, when you read the email, how did you feel about it? And if you were the recipient for this email, what were you going to do after reading it? This is the light in which we have to see our email communications. And so for today, we'll start by discussing why we use emails at all. And when writing emails, some key components we need to consider seriously. And this will include the subject of the email, the body of the email, and the tone of the language we use in our emails. We'll look at setting important settings around emails that we have to make part of our email structuring. And then we'll look at some etiquette and rules about emails. I think this will give us enough substance to be able to go back and re-examine the email that we started with. So, why do we use emails? Emails are the most common, and I would say today they are the most important part of business communications when it comes to the written side of communications. And I talk about this with respect to everyday business. The volumes of emails that fly through the world per day is really huge. And given that important part that it plays in business communication, it becomes necessary that when you use it, you must use it in a way that delivers your intended purpose with good impact, whilst helping to boost the image of your organization. So emails are a very important leadership tool. You can use email to actually inspire a lot of trust, a lot of commitment, and a lot of action, okay? And it all depends on how well you connect emotionally, and that's EQ, through your emails. So think of an email that is nicely written. Usually it's polite, it communicates some warmth, some respect, and it helps to build trust. On the other hand, when the email is poorly written, it increases the stakes, it builds up some resentment, mistrust, and it reduces the level of collaboration within team members. Okay. So we need to think of it as a powerful leadership tool and actually use it in the most powerful way that we can. So we'll discuss the different components of the email and we'll start with the subject. Okay. The subject of your email is a beautiful opportunity, one, to generate interest so that someone will open your email, and two, to inspire action. Okay. So we need to see it from the perspective of that opportunity and ensure that we've crafted the subject of the email in a very positive and inspiring way. Okay. It has to be clear, it has to be succinct, and it has to be straight to the point. So let's look at some examples. Sometimes people don't even put anything in the subject column at all. They leave it blank. That obviously is not great. Sometimes you see things like important mail, read immediately, or just a quick question, or can I get a quick response? Okay. When you compare these subject lines to subject lines like feedback from the board meeting, or meeting for Friday confirmed for 10 people, do we need a bigger room? Or pick up your tickets from the canteen at 3 p.m. You see that these last three examples are clear and they're likely to get the person to see if there's any further information required. Okay. We can learn from these two set of examples and try to make our subject lines very productive and not waste that opportunity. Let's look at some other examples. Subject, meeting, versus a subject that says past process meeting, 10 a.m., February 25th. You can compare that to another subject line that says, could you please send the February sales report? Thanks, EOM. And EOM is another technique that you can employ for yourself. If you're using your subject line for your entire mail, you can put the short instruction or message there and put EOM. And in corporate circles, it usually signifies end of mail or end of message. And that in itself can be your email. And usually it will inspire some action. Good, so we've spoken about how to use your subject line in the most powerful way. We can now look at the body of your email. How do we structure the body of our emails in a way that inspires trust, engender commitment, and actually stimulate people into action? Number one, how you start your mail. Greetings. Start your email by greeting your recipients. Do it in a polite and respectful manner. 2, purpose. Why are you writing this email? Is it a request or it's a response to an earlier email? You need to be very clear on the purpose or your objective of the email and put it up very early. Directness. You'll have to state the purpose of your email early and be clear as to what you want the recipients to do. 4, and that's very important, how you organize your emails. When emails are long, it's important that you organize them well. So when they are separate points, use bullet points or numbers to organize the different points, and then also split different ideas or thoughts into totally different emails or different subheadings within the same mail. If they are not highly related, better put them in separate emails. If they are related and they are different subjects, then organize with different subheadings and make it very clear. Last and not the least is politeness. Remember, your email is a powerful leadership tool that you can use to drive emotional intelligence, you can use to drive commitment, you can use to drive action. And therefore, remaining polite is very important. And powerful words in the space of remaining polite are words like please and words like thank you. It's interesting to know that as powerful as emails are in terms of driving our corporate business objectives, they've also been known to be the source of great confusion, tension, and other negative consequences. And research has proven this over and over again. So please, in your emails, try and not over-communicate. Make use of your subject lines, make it clear, succinct, powerful. Keep your messages short and clear. Be polite. Check the tone of your email by always checking, how would I feel if I was the recipient of this email? And always proofread your mails before you hit the send button. I have some 2 examples of emails here that I want us to consider, and you tell me how you feel about it. The first one says, Emma, I need your report by 5 p.m. today or I will miss my deadline. Harry. The second one says, Hi Emma, thanks for your hard work on the report. Could you please get your version over to me by 5 p.m. so we don't miss the deadline? Thank you so much, Harry. Compare these 2 emails. What is great about each of them and what could be better? It would be nice to have your thoughts. When it comes to writing emails and we look at the body of our emails, we need to think of that email as a business letter on a business letterhead. The more you think of it that way, the less likely you are to make mistakes. Okay. And if you're thinking of your email as a business letter on a business letterhead, then it's important that you state the purpose of your message very clearly. You use a good structure to the whole email. Use proper sentences. Start sentences with capitals. You avoid using capital letters throughout or small letters throughout. Use a classic typeface. Don't use playful fonts, etc. It does not signal seriousness. Make your paragraphs short and clear. Okay. Use humor with caution because emails are supposed to be serious documents. And if the message can be in the main email, then try to avoid many attachments because they make your emails heavy to download, and 2, they are sources of viruses sometimes, and 3, some people do not have the habit of opening attachments. So if there's something important and it's hidden in an attachment, rather copy paste it in the main email, okay, so they can see it up front and action it. Better still, if it's something that needs to be actioned and it can be in the subject line, put it as your subject instruction and then you close it. Avoid the use of jargons because they might make your email rather playful than serious. Okay? And then another part is do not send emails without signatures. Signatures is the bottom part of your email that talks about who is sending this email, what is their designation, which organization, and are there any terms and conditions around the communication. Okay, let's avoid the excessive use of exclamation marks, etc. Okay, because it also does not signal maturity. Okay, remember that emails are permissible evidence in the court of law. So you must attach that level of seriousness to them when you're sending them back and forth. So to the tone of the email, we need to keep it pleasant and positive. And we need to think of it from this perspective, always check by asking, how would I feel if I received this email myself? It is important that we use positive phrasing, even if the news we're delivering is negative. Let's describe more of what we can do instead of what we cannot do. Let's avoid blame games, and we do not need to break negative news at the start of our emails. It's good to always start on a positive news, and then if we have anything negative, address them adequately and substantively, and then close on a positive note as well. So let's take some examples around the tone. Instead of saying the problem we have on hand is, we can actually say the situation we have on hand is. Or, instead of saying, I am unable to provide you with a report before Wednesday afternoon, we can actually say, I would provide you with a report after Wednesday afternoon. They all convey the same thing, and yet one feels more positive, more inspiring than the other. You can practice with some more examples for yourself. So we'll close with email settings. One, let's make sure that we have signature on our emails because it contributes to the professionalism. Let's review the font size and style. It has to be a good style, not playful, and the size, you can always use Arial 10 as a benchmark to say we don't have to go too small below that or too big above that. Out of office notifications are very important because when it comes to emails, we are not always available behind our emails to respond to each mail. Sometimes we go on leave, sometimes we are out in the field, sometimes we are engaged in other activities. And because emails are part of everyday communication, it is important, if you're not going to be available to respond to emails, to actually set your out of office notification so that people will be aware that you're not available to respond immediately and that you will respond when you're available. Let's use our calendar. Almost every email app has a calendar tool. It helps us to structure our activities when we'll respond, our meetings, etc. So let's learn to use that. All these things that I've spoken about, if you're unclear as to exactly how to do it, visit YouTube, watch videos on it, and set yourself up for success. So just to round up on some etiquette and rules, when you're writing up your email, it helps to start with the body. Structure it properly, organize it, number, bullet points, make it clear, simple, straight to the point. Then you can think of adding your subject. Your subject is always a summary of what exactly you expect your recipients to do. Before you think of adding your recipients, the reason why we recommend adding your recipients at the last stage is it will help to minimize or avoid the possibility of sending out an email that is incomplete. If your recipient channels are empty, even if you hit the send button in error, you are not sending to anybody. You get the opportunity to cancel it. Always proofread your emails before you send out. And be mindful of the different cultures of the world and even in a particular country, because the language as we use them differ, and try to speak to the culture and to the language that is acceptable to the recipients. Remember that emails are never confidential. You don't have any control as to exactly where your email may land. And therefore, you need to ask yourself at all times that, will I be comfortable if this email landed somewhere that it was not intended? And if so, then structure them in a way that will not create that discomfort if it should land in some unintended hands. So we'll close at this point. We've spoken about why emails are so important for us as part of business and why we need to use them as powerful leadership tools to inspire commitment and action. We've spoken about how to structure the body of your emails, how to use your subject in a more powerful way, and then how to manage the tone of your email so that it's inspiring and actually stimulate action. We've spoken about some important settings like the signature, etc., that you can use on your emails. And we've spoken about some basic rules and etiquette around emails. It is an important point now to actually revisit our first exercise. So let's take that email again. And then now we are reviewing it with the purpose of redoing that email. So you sit down and you say, I'm trying to restructure this email for M. Maza so that it will be more inspiring, it will inspire more commitment, and is likely to lead to action. Let's do that exercise, and we look forward to the opportunity to discuss together again. To close, emails are powerful tools. Let us from today conscientiously always review how we would use them in the most powerful way possible. Thank you.